Alright, let's get started. Hi there, welcome to this live stream where I'm going to demonstrate VC mode, the VC feature of Emacs. So let's start with the beginning. So VC is basically an interface that Emacs uses to integrate with a multitude of version control systems, among which are Git, Bazaar, Subversion, CVS, etc. So you might be wondering why on earth you'd need that, where you've probably heard of Magit or Magit, which is the de facto interface for Git, which is what most people use these days. And the answer is, well, it provides a consistent interface that you can use across versioning systems. So if you're using not just Git but also others, it might be useful to you. Or if you are working on a project or a company that hasn't migrated to Git yet, you may find that VC fills a gap and lets you use your version control system from within Emacs. We'll just go through the workflow of using VC with Git, and then the workflow of using VC with Subversion, and see how you can operate it and what you can do with it. Alright, so let's start with Git. I'm going to create a Git repo somewhere. So let's open a direct in my projects directory. Oops. I'm going to create a new folder. Let's say test. Completion got me there. Test, and I'm going to create test Git, which will be our first test directory. Okay, and I am going to add a file. Let's say readme.org. All right, and it's just going to be. Oops, if I can type properly. Plus title. Test. PC test file. PC test project. Alright, so I've got a file, I've got a new folder. And the first thing I'm going to do is create the repository or initialize it. So you could go into your terminal and type Git in it, but we'll do it with VC this time. So I'm going to hit Ctrl X V and I, and now VC started up and tells me, oh, it's not version controlled, so we can choose a version control system to use. And here you can see the all of the version control systems that my VC supports. I am going to choose Git, create Git repository in that folder, yes. Alright, so it's created the repository, it's initialized it, and it also registered the readme.org file that I just created. Okay, so I'm going to split that in half, and we'll take a look. I'm going to start a shell. Let's start a shell. Let's have a look at what Git thinks. Alright, so Git says I'm on master and there's no commits, and I've got a new file which is readme.org. So we still need to check out the file, to check in the file, not check it out. So we'll do that by adding it. So if I run Ctrl X VI, okay, it says it's already registered. So now the next logical step is to actually commit it. And VC has this concept of next step command, which is Ctrl X VV. And if we open the help for the bindings, here you'll see it over here. Ctrl X VC next action. So in terms of Git, it's generally commit. I don't know all of the version control systems that are supported. I guess it's named this way so as to be an abstraction to some other control system, but version control system that doesn't just have commit but other things too. Anyhow, we're going to do that, Control X VV, and now we enter into the commit dialog. So we're going to say initial commit. Alright, and put a blurb, created readme.org. Alright, and I'll validate that with Control C, and now it says it's checked it in. So let's take a look at the shell, which opened in the wrong window, obviously. eShell. There we go. So if I do git status this time, yeah, it agrees. It's been checked in. Okay, and we can check the logs from VC. So I'm going to remove that. We can check the log from VC with Control X VL. And that's going to actually show the file log as opposed to the root log. So VC has this concept of file log and root log. The file log is just the log of changes for the currently open file, and if we do Control XV uppercase L, then we'll see the log for the root, the folder root, and we see my commit over here. If I press enter, I can see more detail. Alright, so the next thing is so we'll probably want to, as a Git developer, we'd probably be using a lot of feature branches. So we're going to do that next. We're going to make changes for a feature branch and see how that works with VC. So the first thing to do is to actually create the feature branch. So we'll do that with Control U and then Control X VV. There. So we'll enter a branch name. So let's say feature shell script. Okay, enter. Oop, it failed. Okay. Why did it fail? Branch reason of backend to move to. Create a feature branch. Okay. Backend to move to. Let me see if I make a change. Right, so you need to first make a change in your file before creating the branch, so that's different. So I'm going to name it, I don't know, and you need to create a commit when creating the branch. Okay, and so if I take a look at eShell, so we're still on master. So it's actually went and committed my file changes into that branch, but didn't actually switch the current working tree to that branch. So if I do git branch, it doesn't actually show me my branch. Git branch -a. Yes, nothing. That's weird. For XVR. Okay, I see that. That's puzzling. It worked when I did the tests for the stream. XV Control H, update dfignal. Yes, retrieve tag. has to create a tag. Feature readme, making the tag. Okay, is that an actual tag or is that a branch? eShell. No, it actually created a tag. Well, let's take a look into the manual then. Info, I will do emacs. Yep. VC. Introduction to VC. Okay, VC ignore branches. Here we go. Branches. Switch creating branches. Alright, creating branches. Emacs supports creating branches as part of the commit operation. When committing a modified VC file set, type Ctrl-U, Ctrl-X, VV. So that's exactly what I did. So it's kind of puzzling. Okay, let's have another go. So I'm going to create a new file. Let's call it script.sh. Okay, and it's going to do something very incredible and just echo test. Alright, and I'm going to show you the VCDR view, which is a buffer that just displays the current VC status. So it's Ctrl-X, V, and D, and you just confirm the directory, and there you can see the status of your files in the directory. So also, when you're inside that buffer, you can basically use the same commands as all the other VC commands, but without the Ctrl-X, V. So that makes things simpler. So I'm going to register that file here, and I'm going to commit both of them, so I'm going to mark both of them. And then I'm going to do Ctrl-U, so I'll switch over there just in case, Ctrl-U, Ctrl-X, and then VV, your revision or backend. Okay, so I'm going to rename it feature script. Summary, added script, added a very complex script. Alright, it says it's checked it in. Okay, so it's only committed the script.sh file, and I'm still on master. Yeah, I am still on master. Git branch. No, it hasn't created a branch. So it's not working as per the documentation here. Where can I switch back to my info page? DC change log. Did I close it? I might have closed it. Info, Emacs, and VC. Oop. Alright. So I've done what they said, and doesn't seem to have created my branch. Oh well. Well, that's that. I did manage to make it work earlier today, so that's a bit puzzling. Anyway, let's carry on. So, like I've shown you, you can have a view of the current working tree with the VCDR, which should still be here. And you can either commit single files, so you can choose the files that you want to commit or not. So by marking them. So here I've marked both of them. And although I've already committed script.sh, I'm going to make another change. Okay, and now it shows it as edited. So I'm going to commit both of them from VCDR. So I mark them and then I just type VV, or just V actually. And you can see in the bottom here that it shows me the two files that will be within this commit. So I'm going to say, I don't know, improved script and doc. And doc. Commit, and now they're both up to date. And if I switch to eShell and actually ask Git to make sure on the status, I've got everything committed. Alright, now I'll try pushing and pulling as well. So I'm going to set up another Git repo to push into. CD projects test. I'm going to clone that one. Okay, it's cloned. So let's close this one. Okay, so we'll open the testgit2 and the readme, for example. Alright, I am going to add a file in the original and we can show the pull and push. CD testgit. Sorry, it's probably quite small, I'll just do a touch. There, I've added an empty file and committed it. Alright. So now, if I open there, I'll open the VCDR buffer once again, and I'm going to pull, which is done with Control X capital P, Control XV capital P, sorry, and it's not happy. Fail to push some refs from testgit. Oh, sorry, that was push, my bad. It's Control XV plus. XV plus. Alright, so it's brought that new file, which is my file, and you're seeing this because I don't have Git configured well on this machine. So if I have a look around, yeah, my file is here. So let's make a change to my file. And I'm going to check it in, and then we're going to push it back to the original repository. So go on its line and type M to mark it, and then we're going to commit it with V. Edited my file. Okay, and now to push is Control X, V, and capital P. Capital P. Error. Receive deny current branch configuration. Okay, it's not happy. It actually rejected it, right? Well, it's probably because I'm pushing into a repository that actually has a work file tree, not a bare repo. But otherwise it works. So it actually did the push to the origin branch. And if you're working with a properly set up repository, it will work. So that's the basics for a Git workflow. I couldn't get the create branch working, but I'll share my notes at the end of the video. I'll add them to the description, and it should be working because it's in the official documentation as well. So let's take a look at how that would work with subversion. Alright, so let's close all of this. test git. Yeah, that's good. So let's create test svn over here. Actually, no, we'll check it out because subversion is different from git. Sure. And I actually have a subversion server set up in Docker, so I can make the demo. So we'll just check out the project and then work on it. So if I have a look through, alright, so it's svn checkout, svn localhost, repos, test svn, and trunk, and test svn. Alright, so I've checked out my subversion code here into test svn, so I'm going to open it up. Let's take a look at readme.org. Oops. And we'll open the VCDR over here. So xvd, test svn, and so it's picked up that it's a subversion repository, and it's showing me the details of it. So I'm going to make a change. Blah blah blah, and I'm going to add a file, the script.sh. Okay, and it works in the same way as we did with Git. So we'll just register that file, then we'll mark both of them, and we can commit by just pressing V. And in the same way, so added other script. Alright, and so it's done. So with subversion, obviously, there's no pushing, because there's no pushing as that's part of the commit action. So yeah, that stops here. We can pull with Control XVL, just in the same way as I showed with Git. It just pulls the remote changes locally. And there's some common things we can do. So viewing the logs, for example, is one of them. So those are the subversion logs. And you can see the changes for each commit by hitting equal. So if I highlight another change and type equal, you can see the changes for that particular revision. Okay, and I can also show that with the Git, and be actually more interesting with Git, because if I open, let's say, the readme.org, D for test Git, you can actually invoke the logs with Control XV and uppercase L. And you can see the changes here. I can hit equal and also see what's changed. But more interestingly, VC has an annotate mode, which is very similar to git blame, and you can invoke it by typing Control XVG. Here we go, and here you can see the contents of the files annotated with who changed it and when. So here you can see that I changed the file. Not really surprising. And if we looked at scripts, maybe there's more in script. XVG. Oops. Control XVG. Okay, you can see that these come from different commits as well, by looking at the hashes. We can take a look in Subversion. I think it also works there. So XVD, test svn. Okay, test svn will open Which one would have more changes? README maybe? Okay, and we'll open the annotation, Control X VG. Oops. Alright, and so you don't see the name probably because I'm not set up properly with the SVN client, but you can see the revision number of when the line was added. So that's basically it for VC. It's a fairly simple tool. It has a lot of uses, though it's not a bad tool. I think for Git, definitely it does not compare to Magit or Magit. Magit or Magit is just much better and has better integration with Git than VC does. But for anybody who is using an older version control that doesn't have very good clients maybe or mainstream support these days, this is definitely a good alternative. Alright, well, thanks for watching. I will put my notes in the description of the video, and have a good one.